Thank you very much, Jean-Michel. Thank you very much, Nacho. So much for the opening remarks and the introduction. What we have planned as the next steps, basically, and we are trying to follow a bit the sequence or the life cycle that you will have or experience also from your side. We want to start now looking first at the connectivity to T2S. For this, we have invited the two licensed WAN providers, SIA-Colt and SWIFT, and they will give a short presentation about their service offering. Then we will have a short presentation on user testing. And afterwards, we'll have our first discussion panel for today, where we have invited representatives from the German and the French market, basically to discuss about their preparations and readiness of the market for, or in view of the upcoming user testing. But first, I would then invite the two WAN providers to join me here. And the first one to give a presentation will then be Paolo Piangerelli from SIA-Colt, and afterwards we have then Oreste Di Francesco from SWIFT. Yeah. Yes. Please come up.
Okay. Just a second. Okay, I start presenting myself in any case. Good morning, I'm Paolo Piangerelli from SIA-Colt. I'm working on the T2S project from the very beginning, from the RFP for the license agreement for the license of the T2S Connectivity Services. And I will give in my presentation a short description of our, basically the major step to be followed for the onboarding of the customer, and then the support for during the migration phase. Okay, so this is will be the agenda, the short presentation. Okay, so let's start with the connectivity, with the onboarding. We organized ourselves in having a dedicated project manager, so a team following each actor that is awarded SIA-Colt for providing the connectivity services. This will last till the go live of the actor. So we start from the beginning. We start with the design of the solution for the customer, with the implementation, and then the final phase, so the delivery, and then the onboarding and the support in the user testing. Okay, everything is managed by one project manager that will become, let's say, the service managers following, facing the actor. For the time being, this is supported, still supported by the project team that is working, that has been working in the project to have a focus on the project, on the activity. There is, of course, documentation available to customer to explaining all the steps to be followed for the onboarding. That is the main important phase that the customer facing or faced for the time being. Okay, focus on next. Okay, so for the onboarding, the major part of the activities start with the registration of the entity in our system. So we register the entity, we provide, based on the design solution that we have agreed with the customer, we provide the technical addresses that will be used then for the interaction with T2S. And the customer on their side has to assign a role that is the client administrator, that is the main contact point for the customer in administering all the stuff related to the user roles, define the users in our system, and so on. The second relevant role is the security officer, that is the guy involved in managing all the security staff, representing the institution. This will be in charge of the cookie subscription, for example, for the certificate enrollment, and so on. Next step is the certificate enrollment. That is the part that is needed to start working then with T2S. We have two different kinds of certificates in T2S. One are the certificates provided to single users on USB token that will be used for U2A connectivity, so for the connection to the T2S GUI. And the other one is the A2A certificate that will be used by the application for the business layer signature. As I said, the security officer of the institution is the guy involved in processing this, the request to our PKI infrastructure, to our certification authority, and is in charge of managing the forms for requesting the certificates, for providing certificates to users, and so on. Next step is the registration of the actor to the T2S system. This is done through a form defined by T2S that is relevant because he has to mention information provided by the WAN provider, that is the technical addresses and the certificates for the user, for the administrator, and then again, when the administrator will populate, start configuring the user on the T2S, these are the information that are relevant for the configuration. Next step, after this registration, is the subscription to the closed group of users. That is the step necessary to have the provisioning of the customer to have access to the closed group, that is test or production test for the time being, for accessing the platform, both on the U2A and A2A traffic. We have an additional step that is the appointment of the U2A user to the CGU, because it's possible also to have a single user to be authorized to belong to the CUG instead of the whole institution. Okay. Last step is the provisioning of the configuration after the approval of the CUG registration by the Eurosystem or by the relevant CSD or national bank in case of DCP actors. And this provisioning is deployed by us and is activated on the infrastructure that we have at the customer site, and is uploaded also on the message interface, that is a software that is, let's say, the software allowing the traffic, interfacing the customer application with the network. And this is the last step for the onboarding. I go very quickly, but you can interrupt me, ask me question whenever you want. Okay. Next part is the support, how we structure ourselves to support the customer during next phase. So after the onboarding, when the customer is has its own infrastructure available, he has to start the user testing as mentioned before, and what we have to do, what we provide to them. So we have an help desk service that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is accessible via internet, via phone or also via mail. Then for this time, for this phase, we also provide the project manager dedicated to the actor to be an additional contact point to be more effective in highlighting incident or requiring support and so on. As I said before, for the time being, also the project team is still working, supporting the project manager to provide support, specific support to the customer in this phase, to have a focus on the user testing, the critical part for the customer at this point of the project. Okay. And I put just an highlight on our support to the migration, and specifically on our availability during the weekend that has been scheduled for the migration testing and end-to-end volume testing. We have been requested by T2S to provide our availability and to allow the customer to run the migration testing during the weekend, so the rehearsal, the dress rehearsal of the migration weekend, and we agreed to have our infrastructure available during this weekend, so cancelling the standard maintenance window that we have during the weekend, to have the infrastructure available all the weekend, so we can really emulate the whole process that will be run during the migration weekend. For these weekends, we also provide special support. That means that beside the project manager that is sacrificed on the on the project, so always available, we will provide also the level 2 specialist support on site, on our site, I mean, so available at our premises to be more effective in case of any incident during the weekend, to instead of the normal availability that is on call during out of business hour. And of course, this will be also the case for the migration weekend. So I will say later on. So the first point is during the pre-migration, the migration weekend, we are able to provide additional support to the customer to help him in setting up the infrastructure for the live, the production infrastructure, so the migration of all the configuration and so on from the test environment to the production environment. We will support him in finalizing the configuration, the tuning of the infrastructure for the live, and we can also provide on-site support during the migration weekend and the first days after the migration weekend to have focus and full availability of support to the customer. We also have, as a standard procedure, an infrastructure readiness check. That means that after the installation is completed, run and so on, done and so on, we run a set of tests using, not involving the platform, of course, but involving a sort of internal testing environment that we provide to customer just to test everything at customer site without affecting the platform before, let's say, releasing the standard configuration to access the test or production environment of the platform. As I said, during the migration weekend, we will provide full support to the T2S Actor migrating, and this will mean, again, to have the level 2 specialist available on our site during all the migration period, so all the 52, I can't remember exactly, hours of the migration, to be ready to face any possible incident and solve it as soon as possible to address the migration. this is, as I said, very quickly explanation and overview on our services. If you have any question now, after I'm here all the day, so please. Otherwise, I leave the floor to Oreste.
No question? Okay. Then I'll start. First, introduce myself. Oreste Di Francesco. I'm working in a market initiative group at SWIFT. And a bit like Paolo, but with some years before, I was involved in with T2S. It's 7, 8 years now, meaning really when T2S started to come out of the limbo as perhaps a project. And I'm following, obviously, the initiatives for SWIFT on this time. We were asked by Orger to give in 10 minutes, meaning the only instruction we got is that can you come and in 10 minutes explain how you plan to support the T2S Actor. And then I saw the presentation of Paolo. There is some overlap, but there are also some little difference. But overlaps are obvious because at the beginning, we are both for providing as per an RFP, which was 3 years ago now or something like this. And the base offer must be the same. There is no doubt. And after you have the particularity, obviously. I put also together a couple of slides, trying not to be marketing at all, and which is difficult when you're coming from SWIFT, obviously, but concentrating more on the phase in which we are, which is support and migration, as we were asked, and not going into the organization of the project, which is very similar at SWIFT to what Paolo explained is going on SIA. Today I have with me the project manager, meaning the one which was coordinating all technical aspects inside SWIFT on all the different deliveries going from changing our network, changing our billing, etc. Claude Dugon, and then both of us, we will be obviously available to answer any kind of question, and in particular in the support area, Claude has a lot of experience in this area. Then for the rest, let's go. First, I start with a recap, because sometimes there are some unclarity about what is our role in this game. And the role in the game is really, as I already alluded, it was an RFP a couple of years ago who set the scene and where SIA-Colt and SWIFT were at the end selected as provider. What are we supposed to provide? We are supposed to provide the communication channel as part of this RFP. Communication channel between any actors who decide to become directly connected. Then we don't provide in particular anything in terms of channel to the one behind, to the T2S platform. Obviously, as the RFP was made with this in mind, all the base offer is there to really be clearly, it's the minimum necessary, whatever word you put, which is really part of the cost, that part of the stuff. On top of it, we have obviously our extended offer on top of the base, where a vast choice of consultancy, training, etc., were existing at SWIFT, were complemented with T2S specific. We developed some, what is called the T2S connector, some software on top of our traditional messaging software to further facilitate the life of users who would select to buy this. But we also are perfectly happy with the user who says, we go with the base offer and we integrate ourselves. And it's really a choice left to the customer. I'm also going through the registration. What is important to understand as well is that at SWIFT, when the RFP was provided, at the end, the communication channels that we open is about being able to transmit single messages, transmit files, and allowing a user to application access. All this at SWIFT is based on what is called a BIG. Then the registration with SWIFT is based on a BIG. BIG is the base of how it works, i.e. we will open a communication channel for a given BIG. How does it work? After a lot of discussion with customers, after a lot of marketing speech, etc., at a certain time someone decides to select SWIFT, then we always do what is called a quotation. Quotation is a document which simply summarizes in a couple of pages the agreement between a user who selected SWIFT and SWIFT in terms of volume, in terms of what they buy, in terms of what they want, etc. And we want this quotation to be entered when they come to subscribe to the service. To subscribe to the service, like in Paolo's case, meaning there is an eform somewhere. This eform is what is the contract at the end, because by subscribing to an eForm, it's like when you go on internet and buy things, etc. This is the contract. Behind it, there is a service description, there are contractual terms, there are supporting documents, etc., etc. But at the end, when you subscribe to the service, i.e. when you register to what at SWIFT is called a closed user group, in T2S is called a closed group of users, but at the end it's more or less the same. Each user fills this form. When we at SWIFT, and obviously in this form, like in SIA, you have to provide a series of technical aspects, meaning how are you identified technically, how are you organized, do you want to subscribe to user application only, some are doing it, or to both, etc., etc. When it is done, then in agreement with the T2S operator, represented by Banca d'Italia, we decided that we go in a two-step approach in terms of approver or a one-step approach. If it is CSD or NCB, then we simply ask the T2S operator, are you aware about this user? Can we really provision at the date that they want us to provision? Say yes or no, and if they say yes, and for DCP we go first to a CSD or an NCB, and when we get the final yes from the T2S operator, then we will indeed provision in our system. We do the provisioning only in the central systems of SWIFT to allow this communication channel to be established. In parallel to this, because this is a subscription to the closed user group, the users are also required to get equipped to use this service. And being equipped means either enhancing a line or ordering the token, which are necessary for your user to application, and these kind of things. This is done in parallel or in advance, depending on the stuff. But the subscription to the service doesn't imply that everything is in place. It's just a step in the process. What we have done also is, as in T2S, you will use several environments for testing to do the community test, the bilateral test, the multilateral test, the pre-production test, etc., etc. We have decided that in this registration, you will register once for the 2 or 4, depending on if you are a DCP, it's only 2, but if you are CSD or NCB, it's 4. In one step, you register to all the test environment, so that the test environment are standards. In the back, it means more or less that you share the SWIFT part of your connections to T2S. You don't share in a mandatory way everything which is internal, but the SWIFT part is shared. If it is not the case, obviously, after this subscription, which is made to ease the job of everyone, you can come and change, and because each of the environment is a totally different independent closed user group, and you can change totally the setup in this specific closed user group. And obviously, it's registration to production being one, you do one, and normally you do it properly. Here's just a word to recap, and yes, you will have the slides, what is called test environment and who are using them. I go quickly through it, and an indicative date, but the date is very simple. It's each time you have a phase which requires an environment, the environment will be there months in advance, and certainly 1 month and a half or 2 months for the connectivity test, because the dates which are there are very often the date where functional tests are supposed to start. But obviously, it's at least 2 months in advance that the environment is there. And if the environment is there 2 months in advance, it means that you can subscribe. Obviously, you must subscribe even a bit before, because if you want to participate first day. Then, at SWIFT, we have a range of support services, as we call them, ranging from what is called Standard Plus to Premium Custom, with Premium Plus and there are several levels, and these services are defined and used by our customers depending on their need, meaning they say that Standard Plus is largely enough for them, or some prefer really to have everything totally customized. This is Standard SWIFT. On top of it, or in parallel to it, in the case of T2S, we also built 2 very specific, which are T2S related. One, it's again in coordination with the T2S operator. We agreed that in case of severe or difficult technical problem, we will help establishing a 3-party call, T2S operator, SWIFT, and the party, in order to try to solve the problem. Rather than to do bilateral and discuss, we agreed on this part. The second part, which is more information sharing, etc., is that we have created on SWIFT.com a specific page, a specific area with several page links, etc., which are T2S related. and which will be accessible to, a part of it is what I would call public, but not public to the general public, but public to those which have access to SWIFT.com with a username. And a part of it is T2S registered user only, depending on what information we put there. Some are really for the T2S user, and some are simply information and stuff. To illustrate this, I just took a snapshot of what is today on SWIFT.com, and in the snapshot, this is not what I wanted. In the snapshot, in the bottom area here, I opened, because all these pages, they can become very extremely big, etc. I opened the part where today, if you go, you will find a couple of tips related to T2S already, meaning some things that when people call, and when we consider that we have to do a patch, or when we consider that the call is of interest of others, then very often at SWIFT it turns to a tip, and people can all, by themselves self-support themselves, because they say, okay, this one is a known, and it's the way to solve the issue, or it's the way to I'm required to install a patch, etc., etc. This is what I highlighted there, but just for information, because it will contain far more. It is containing already now, and gradually it will contain far more valuable information for T2S connected people. Oh, did you change completely the order? But I can adapt, no problem. Then I have also a word on different angle, but at the end also complementing what Paolo was saying, on the weekend. Weekends, it's part of the room here, they know that it's discussions ongoing within T2S and T2S group and subgroups for a while. Weekends at SWIFT, normally any user can test any weekend. This is the rule at SWIFT, meaning all weekends are open for test, except a limited period. And this limited period is, the maximum is the timing that Paolo was mentioning. It's similar, it's 4 to 4, 4 afternoon Saturday to 4 morning Sunday. This is the maximum period where SWIFT keeps the right to do maintenance and all these things. Next to it, we have the extremely short weekend, where extremely short maintenance, where it's only 2 hours which are out. And then in the case of T2S, we had 2 problematic during weekend. One is to be able to test the migration weekend, and another one is about volume. Migration weekend, end of this month, end of June, but it's not special to this year, but end of June, we publish the list of what we call the low ADWs, i.e. the weekend where it's only 2 hours downtime, possible maximum. And based on this list, the rehearsal weekend will be, and it's a task of the testing task force group and subgroup, to align and realign the planning to make sure that these kind of activities will be planned on such weekend. The second part is the volume. As I said, the weekends are there, available, etc. However, in the case of T2S, because we speak of extremely high volume potentially, we are, meaning clearly at SWIFT, we are not yet at this stage equipped to support the full load of T2S, which will come only in 3-4 years' time, at the end of the migration, basically, or at least at the third window of the migration. Then, therefore, we have restrictions on the capacities that can be put on the system during the week, but weeks are not planned for volumes, and during weekend as well. For this as well, we have some process where we want to know in advance, and in order to orchestrate and accommodate all the needs on the same week, I mean, if there are 5, 6, 7 CSD who wants to test on the same weekend, then we have to find a compromise to make sure that the test will work properly, basically. And for this, again, it will be tip published, meaning we are working on revisiting a tip which was already existing, but to make sure it is also T2S oriented in the spirit. And then we will ask clearly that we are aware so that the weekend volume tests are well coordinated between the party. And then in this case, we are like SIA, really ready to follow the test and to even provide some statistics if they are required, etc., etc. But without knowing what's going on, it will be difficult to plan and to organize. Then back to, and the slide, sorry if I was a bit confused, back to how the SWIFT support is organized. I mean, SWIFT support, what we have done for T2S, we have simply, it's a simple word, but let's say we have simply integrated the required T2S support, i.e. the required T2S specificities, because in the case of T2S, we can have a presentation of 1 hour of what has been built on top or in parallel to what we have. Then we have integrated all these specificities into the SWIFT traditional support. The SWIFT traditional support, with one slide there, works with 6 locations, 3 continents, 24 hours a day, 20 languages, meaning you name it, and you have a lot of things because it's there for a very long period. What we have created recently, meaning a couple of years, it's also some technical remote support by which we can monitor and get access to some data which is on our component on the customer location, but always under the control of the customer. We cannot go to a customer without that they open the system and they subscribe to the service, and it helps and facilitates to get quick access to the data. But if they don't want, we don't go, and we cannot go. Out of these several locations and all these languages, inside SWIFT, we have what is called the center of expertise. There, the peoples are those which are in some other area. You would call it a level 2 support, a level 3 support. It depends on how many levels you put in the front and after. But these people are really supporting the whole stuff. And then in the back, they can obviously go up to the developer, the IT developers, when we have specific case, or to any area of SWIFT as necessary to solve a problem. And all these people have been trained for T2S specific for now more than a year. More than being trained, they are rehearsing in real, if I can say like this, with the ECB doing the acceptance test since March, meaning it's, the stuff is rehearsed in real. And from a SWIFT perspective, we consider the pilot phase, where more people will come, as an excellent way to finalize the fine-tuning of all the support of organizations. And by the time that we are in September, normally, in terms of process, in terms of knowledge, etc., everything should be smooth on this aspect. Now this is a slide where it was impossible to avoid the marketing aspect. Huh? It's the fact that today we are speaking here about how do we support users, how we prepare migration, etc. But the fact is that there are still a quantity of T2S potential or real connected actor, future connected actor. They are still struggling with the setup of the system, struggling with understanding in details what it is, etc. And there's a slide is just there to remember that for these people, we have obviously a bunch of things going from training up to what is called at the bottom a T2S readiness portal for those which still do not understand what is an XML message. They can test against this portal a T2S message, basically, but not in real, just in advance of going to the platform. And in between, you have the My Standards and other things, and I skip it. In terms of source of information in support, we have developed, I should have said it on the slides there, you can obviously call support. We have Case Manager, it's a web-based application. For urgent, we recommend call, because it's always better to get in contact. We have what is called knowledge database, where you can go, meaning registered user, obviously, they can go and try to find if there is not someone having the same problems than itself, and try to find a solution by himself even. Meaning we have all these kinds of things. Newsletter, which are sent very regularly to remind people that a patch exists that solves this problem, please install it, etc., etc. This is all a different kind of support source. And then is my last slide, meaning if you want to know about SWIFT support, I will invite you to go to the swift.com, and in particular to the support tab or support area. Plus, for those which have registered, go to the information center, as we call it, dedicated to T2S. And then you will find all kind of help you need, next to, obviously, the hand-holding and the support one by one as necessary, etc. But here I wanted to really explain the full context of the SWIFT support. That's all for me, I believe. Yeah, just showing the page, how it looks like. Question for us? Yeah? Yes?
Sorry. You said that connection to production will be as of June 2015.
Yeah.
It should be as of March 2015.
Yeah, but I said that the dates which are on the slide are the date where the production starts in real, and 2-3 months before. Yeah. But we follow really what the Eurosystem will tell us to do. But at least 2 months before is the connectivity, and probably a month or two before. But the reality is that the production that says there is June. It's available today, but you cannot subscribe yet. Then it's just a matter of, then I expect that you can subscribe to production.
We need to subscribe because
Sorry?
we need to migrate static data in productions.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But the subscription to production is not said on the slide, will be end of this year already open.
Okay.
And then you can subscribe for a date which is between January and June as
Perfect.
necessary. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. As you are from Untitled, just one aspect, just of this. You will be requested also as Untitled to approve. In the subscription process, there is some of the DCP have selected SWIFT, and then you will be asked to approve. And the approval is the form of, because I didn't go into the details, you will receive notification via emails, and then you have a screen where you go and say, okay for this one, not okay for... Yes, exactly. Yeah. No, but for those who are not aware, yeah. What I mean is that the CSD and the ECB, even if they have not selected SWIFT, they have the duty to approve those who say it. Duty and possibility, not only a duty, but yeah.
If I may, maybe just to make it very clear, actually, indeed, all CSDs have to start uploading their static data 3 months before June.
Okay.
All those playing a role of SME, so
No
it's
problem.
production as of March, actually.
For us, as I reminded at the beginning, we are just a channel provider, and when we are told, sorry?
But the channel must be there.
Yeah, but it is there, virtually it is there already today. Now we have to simply agree on when we deploy the subscription to this channel, because it's irrelevant if they subscribe to us and the T2S platform is not ready to receive it. It's why we do this heavy, let's say, process of subscription, because we want three parties, in fact, to know that a new actor is coming in the game. For the rest, it's open, it's winning, it will be there, no doubt.